What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Star Series Season 3, brought to you by StarLadder and iLeague. I am D2. With me is Lothar. We just saw, unfortunately for your teammate, Lothar, Thijs go down 1-3 to BunnyHoppor, which worsens his standings, but obviously makes that better for BunnyHoppor. But that is behind us now. We are going to the number 1 and number 2 players in Group A, that obviously being Neirea and Naiman. And that means that the winner of this match will be the first to 4 wins and top of the group.
Yeah, and no one else will actually have that today, right? No one else. Only Naiman and Neirea have that chance. BunnyHoppor is stepping behind them, though. He has the 3-2 after this match with Thijs. But if Neirea falls down, he will be at the same position as BunnyHoppor right now.
Yeah, there is this possibility of Neirea winning this one, going to 4-1, Naiman dropping to 3-1, but then later on defeating Thijs to go to 4-1. So they could still be tied at the end of the day. But as far as this match is concerned, one player is going to be first after this, and one player is going to be a bit behind as we do take a look at those standings. Naiman technically in first because he hasn't played that 4th match yet, and yeah, he could really solidify his standings. In particular, if he goes and extends his lead to 5-0 right now, he will be well on his way to finishing top 2 because, 8 players in the group. That means that 7-0 and 6-1 typically are the ones who are able to go through. And even if you get something like 5-2, you might be able to win some sort of tiebreakers.
Yeah, well, although in round robin it actually happens a lot that the players are very close to each other, like every single one, right? That can happen.
Right.
We see that Frozen is on a bad start. Like the 0-3 is not really promising. But at the same time, 6-1 Orange didn't play a single match yet. So it's really hard to estimate what is going to happen in the future since we have so many matches left to play out in this group. But this will be sorted out probably in a week or so.
Yeah, on average, you can kind of add, a win and a loss to everyone in this group so far once 6-0 Orange join the fray. But that all aside, Naiman and Neirea, both players who have gone a bit against the grain. Obviously, everyone has their own unique strategies, but Naiman going for a very aggressive strategy, which I guess isn't that strange, but considering the competition he's going against, other players are going for more aggressive strategies. And for Neirea, he typically has banned out the Druid, but has gone for a different strategy this time, as we see Naiman banning out the Mage.
Interesting. So he banned the Mage and Neirea banned a Rogue. We talked about the Quest Rogue, right, being banned out of the bat, usually. In this situation, that's true for Neirea. But Naiman, he banned Mage. So let's think about it. If he bans Mage, what are the matchups that he wants to avoid, right? What does it mean for his Warrior? Is he playing the Taunt Warrior then?
Naiman is playing Pirate Warrior. We've seen that already. So this is really next level by Neirea, if you think about it, because Neirea knows that Naiman wants to leave up his Rogue, right? And if he leaves up his Rogue, what's he most likely to ban? Most likely the Mage, because it can beat most of his decks. And Neirea, up to this point, has been banning Druid over Rogue. He's one of the few players that has been doing that because his Mage beats the Rogue. But since Neirea knew what Naiman's ban was going to be, he switched his ban back over to the Rogue.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting and smart from Neirea if that's exactly what he wanted to do. Now we have the first matchup, Neirea starting with the Druid, with the Jade Druid against Pirate Warrior. Well, historically speaking, that's not the best matchup you want to get as the Jade Druid, unless you have some insane start, and it looks actually pretty decent for the Druid this time.
Yeah, this matchup used to be absolutely horrible for Druid, but has gotten quite a bit better because of Earthen Scales, and you do run 2. It's just a really nice way, and it pairs with your massive Jade, Jade Golems later on in the game. If you're playing against a burn style deck, it can keep you safe, and against something like Pirate Warrior, it'll keep you alive. But as good as Neirea's start is, that is how bad Naiman's is. Next turn, he can get a 2-2 patches charging out, but that's all you can really say about his hand right now.
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you play cards like Leroy Jenkins and Spellbreaker and Nagakosa in your deck. That's pretty, like, endgame heavy when it comes to the Pirate Warrior.
All right, well, we see Neirea going for the Jade Blossom here, going to ramp up a bit in his mana. We'll see how Naiman decides to go about this, if he picks up anything. Nope, even more expensive. This is all of the top end for Naiman's deck as we see patches come out. Will he take the value trade? No, just goes for the straight up trade here.
I like this a lot because he plays around the swipe, which is turn 4 perfectly, right? Lines up really well. For Neirea, the turn is pretty easy. He might actually think about playing one of the Earthen Scales just to play around a Fear Warx, but it's not that important at the same time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He has so much time with these Earthen Scales in hand. You know, as long as he starts developing or drawing into larger minions later on in the game, he's not going to be in any trouble. And there's the ooze.
God.
Wow.
All right, this is nuts. Complete focus.
I can't remember the last time I've seen Pirate Warrior shut down this hard.
Well, to be fair, Naiman had a really horrible opening. He can get some tempo back right now with the Arcanite Reaper into the Corsair. But still, it's not looking great. I mean, no, let's be honest, it looks horrible after the turn 6 from Neirea, which is actually turn 5 because he played Jade Blossom in the past. So, if that will be the turn from Naiman, just go Arcanite Reaper into the Corsair, and Neirea will just proceed to destroy the weapon and go for the second Jade Blossom, puts a minion out, so 2 minions out, advantage in the mana ramp. So, for Naiman, there's actually reasoning to just put out the Floating Berserker this turn, because it will buff the minion will most likely get more buffed in the turn after that, but at the same time, you're mana inefficient.
Yeah, so it does go for the straight up play, but this is going to get completely shut down. And the crazy thing is that the Jade Golems are already bigger than the minions from the Pirate Warrior. As you see, Naiman's not very happy to see that whatsoever.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I mean, typically the Jade Druid has such trouble dealing with the Pirate Warrior because while it's getting its Jades rolling, the Pirate Warrior is already smacking him in the face and they just cannot compete onto the board. But this is the exact opposite situation. Naiman's minions are already getting dwarfed.
Even if he goes for this, like, there's a huge chance that Neirea has just a swipe, and that will be a terrible situation for Naiman. But fortunately, there is no swipe, so that Floating Berserker will get some value.
Yeah, I do like this play from Neirea. He's like, I could go for the Nourish, but this Frothing's never going to kill me. Most of the time, it just goes into this Jade Behemoth. We do see that Naiman has a Spellbreaker, so
double scales on the Behemoth, which puts him onto 5/8, and gives it actually buffs the other guy. All right, that's sweet.
Just wanted to have enough damage to be able to take out the Frothing, and then the other guy doesn't die to the hook. So trying to make sense here. Even if Naiman decides to Spellbreaker that, and Naiman pushes 8 damage to face, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference.
Definitely correct. So even if that happens, you can develop the captain as well, but your opponent will have a wide array of options to deal with those minions, and the sheer power of card draw of cards in the Druid deck is just so much higher than the Pirate Warrior that every single card drawn from Neirea right now can shut down Naiman.
Yeah, and one thing to consider in these types of situations is that the deck lists are not revealed, but I believe that the Spellbreaker has been seen in the past by people watching Naiman's games. I don't think there's going to be any sort of help to Neirea going forward against the Pirate Warrior. He knows that there's going to be a Spellbreaker, but just in case he forgot, this is an extra reminder.
And he gets the second round, just on the top.
Yep.
My God. This is like really disgusting when you think about it. He doesn't even need to use it.
I guess he figures that he doesn't need to. Like, he can just kill the board with his minions anyway. Like, might as well use a Wrath when you have no way to deal with something.
Yeah, I mean that's the proper way, because the Pirate Warrior has no real way of dealing 2 or 1 damage without sacrificing a card to the minions, right? In this case, he would have to sacrifice a deckhand to charge into the 5/2 to take it away, and that's basically the same as using the Wrath and taking something else. So it's technically just way better to trade with the minions first.
Yeah, definitely. Just to keep that in your back pocket, just in case. Just it's some good mechanics for you guys at home if you have the opportunity to use one or the other in that particular matchup. Obviously, Neirea didn't really matter at that point. But getting into the next game here, it's going to be the aggro druid from Naiman, and Neirea is going to go ahead and try to hold it off with his more like Paladin.
Well, this spells disaster for Neirea. If Naiman will actually play patches this turn, he can buff it as well, trade with the Murloc. And then it's a very similar situation to that pirate warrior that he has no way of dealing with minions without sacrificing a lot of damage into them, actually. But at the same time, the Mark of Lotus will lose a lot of potential value in the future. So no, you have to think about, what do I want more? Do I want to have a patches that is 2-1 on board right now and dealt with one minion or your opponent and still have board advantage? And I know I want to what I want to develop in the future, because turn 2 is most likely Golaka Crawler. So I think I like it the most.
The scary thing here for Naiman is that if he trades blow for blow, he's going to run out of cards faster than Neirea is. And so he needs to make the most out of every single card and make sure he comes out ahead and not just trades 1 for 1, which obviously, you know, it's going to be tough for him to do that. And a lot of times, you know, you can trade 1 for 1 with a more control style deck because you just get every single perfect trade and continue to push damage to face. But in this particular situation, you know, Neirea has some of the same smaller minions to fight back with.
Yeah, and now he can't really play the Golaka Crawler because he will need to eat his own patches. That's kind of awkward. Maybe just Hero Power, Raven. And Raven is still okay.
Yeah, Raven's reasonable because your opponent's still 1 turn off of going for the Consecration. The question is, do you need to play around Consecration 2 turns from now? And I think the answer is no, because you have Bittertide Hydra. So I think the play right now is go for Enchanted Raven, attack in with your Corsair, and leave your board vulnerable to Consecration, because the next turn you're just going to go with the Innervate into Hydra, and then they can't play Consecration anymore.
At the same time, I think like you can't really play around Consecration in those matchups anyway. Like if they have it, probably will lose it.
Right. Well, I'm saying if he goes for the Bittertide Hydra, then you know they actually just can't play the Consecration anyway. But Neirea pulls the trigger onto his Aldor,
and that will bite him back. I just wanted to say that in this matchup, usually that Hydra is not that great because it's Peacekeeper, and then you have a 1/8 minion that will actually spell disaster for your own sake. But in this case, that was some next level play from Naiman. He went for the Golaka Crawl to kind of bait out that Peacekeeper, and Neirea took the bite.
Yeah, certainly did. You can see why, though, because he was going to take a lot of damage just from that Golaka Crawler.
Yeah.
Now on the side of Neirea, I think it's a pretty straightforward turn here for him, though. He can go more like Tidecaller, then Balvin, and then have a more like Hero Power. Threaten to do a whole lot with his War Leader next turn, and if any of those survive, he can play the Equality and just take out the Bittertide.
Seems like a reasonable option. Although, he might actually play Equality first, and then play Minions, and kinda guarantee the trade with the Hydra without losing a card.
Yeah, the issue is in that situation that your opponent might have a couple of buffs, and then you're feeling really sad about it. But
yeah, that's true.
All right, gonna go for this. Mark of Yasiraj. He can play on either of these minions, I believe.
Yes, both are beasts.
And that is really sad if you're Neirea, because now Naiman can trade all 3 in. Obviously, you feel bad about putting your Bittertide Hydra into an Qualite Oracle, but you maintain massive board control, and you can kind of surmise that your opponent did the play that he just did because he wanted to go for the Equality next turn. But now that Naiman has picked up the Ravasaur runt, perhaps he is tempted enough to go for that instead of using his Hero Power.
Oh, that's true. This might be just a mini bot, so that's a pretty decent minion. But at the same time, like if he wants to play around the Equality, the Hero Power is much better. So it all depends on Naiman making just the bad of Neirea having the equality or not, and he goes, plays safe, trades with every single minion. I like this a lot. Like, he made a huge investment into that Hydra, and it will pay off long term.
Yeah, certainly. And the thing is, Neirea had to put a lot into. He put 2 minions onto the field there, right? Even though, you know, one of them was a hero power as well. But the fact that Naiman's taking care of this means he's actually gaining board control somehow. Or he's gaining a card advantage, excuse me, somehow.
That's true. But at the same time now, Naiman still has living mana in his hand. He doesn't play around Consecration.
Yeah, he's just saying, well, okay, if you have Consecration, I get to smack you in the face again for 8. So good luck with that. And I think I have you put on equality right now. If you have equality, this guy dies anyway. And sometimes you gotta take a risk if you are Naiman here. But Sunkeeper Terran comes out finally for Neirea's sake to put this Bitter Tide Hider down just a little bit.
That was kind of sad. He would have to sacrifice all 3 minions. Sorry, 2 minions and hero power to get through that, deal 3 damage to the face. Man, this is not looking great for Naiman yet, although he can still get some buffs in the upcoming turn, so maybe there's some point of just not attacking at all this turn.
Yeah, there is that consideration. You
Just
do want to get...
power. Yeah.
You still want to get as much damage to the face as possible, however, so that's something to think about. And getting a 3 damage here is nothing to sneeze at. But yeah, like you mentioned, Neirea is slowly starting to take control of this game. He has the Curator next turn, which means he will draw the Primordial Drake almost certainly.
Which is a perfect answer for living mana. So it's pretty crucial. Getting all those free cards, and now Savage Roar is being drawn, so it adds +2 attack on every single target from Naiman. That means he gets +8 damage this turn. But he needs to go first through the Curator.
Yeah, the numbers don't line up very well.
Well, he can sacrifice his Golakka Crawler and the hero attack.
Yeah, you lose 1 attack with your hero power there, which is not, you don't feel too great about it, but you kind of have to do it this way. You get 10 damage into the other minions though, so that certainly works out in your favor. And you might put your opponent in a position where he has to just play the Primordial Drake for the taunt, and then you can living mana afterward.
I'm not sure about it. What if he just uses the True Silver Champion this turn, plays the Gentle Megazord, or even in this case the 2 Murlocs? He gets up to 9, then to 6. Your opponent has 3, and you know that this card in his hand is not a Savage Roar. It would have been already used. So would it have been a swipe?
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of cards in the deck that could potentially add the damage here. So Neirea feeling a bit worried about that. Just gonna go ahead and play out his Primordial Drake onto the field, and this is the go-ahead potentially for Naiman to just play out his living mana.
That living mana will have the value right now.
Yep. By the way, it does get rid of your empty mana crystals, so you can hero power first and go ahead and do this. And the fact that he was on 8 means he's going to have 2 mana to hero power next turn, which is pretty crucial.
Well,
yeah, it's a tough spot. Well, what he can do, speaking of Neirea, he can go for a couple of Murlocs and then play the Gentle Megazord and try to get taunt.
Yes, that's one of the ways. Is there any kind of secret that will help him? Not really. Redemption is not enough. It's just 1 HP. We'll take out 1 minion. So that's kind of sad. What did he get? Let's see. Noble Sacrifice. That's nice. That takes care of one of those guys. So now he still can play a second Murloc, so that's 3, but it's still not enough, right? Because 3 minions will go through, at least.
He's gonna go about this way and most likely pay the Noble Sacrifice. Gets the extra health, but yeah, that's not going to be enough. And Naiman's going to be able to take game number 2.
Interesting that Neirea just, kind of played with both cards. Peacekeeper and the Primordial Drake here. One turn too early, right? I can understand the Peacekeeper. Like, you can't really play around and innovate. There's no way that you can predict that your opponent will just play a Hydra on turn 3. So that Peacekeeper was definitely fine. Well played by Naiman because of that Golakka Crawler, because he knows he can play the Hydra. But Neirea couldn't really do anything about it. Although that living mana was a consideration to wait, right? You can wait with the Primordial Drake for that living mana. You saw that your opponent is keeping that card from, I think, turn 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's true. So it could have been, it could definitely be the read that it could have been the living mana. I guess Neirea was a bit too worried about something coming off the top because there were a lot of cards in the deck that could have just killed him there.
But at the same time, there are a lot of cards that are just plain blanks, right?
All right. Well, this is this is quite the interesting matchup here, as we have.
Who gets the Wall Eater first? Let's go.
Right. Well, it's not just that. It's who gets something like a rock pool here. This rock pool is absolutely massive here. Going to be able to take out the Colette Oracle, or not Colette Oracle, the Murloc Oracle.
But do you remember the times where all those minions were buffed because of your opponent's minions as well?
Sorry, I got the name wrong because it's bugging me. It's Tycolor, my mistake. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, in the past, all those Murlocs were being buffed by your opponent's Murloc as well, right? That was kind of sick.
Yeah, that was just silly. I think it's a bit better right now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It just makes it so annoying. You can't actually play out your own minions to...
Whoever played the Tycolor first was actually at such huge advantage, right? You couldn't play your own.
So back and forth we go, both sides just taking care of the other one's minions, but looks like Naiman's going to be able to take advantage first by getting his Warrior out onto his own Murlocs here.
And it will actually take care of the defender on board. And the Warrior is out of range of any attacks. So unless Neirea has a Consecration or Trucifer champion, the Warrior will be safe. And you need to play it, right? You don't have anything else that is just better this turn.
Yeah, you just go for it right now. But Neirea goes for a little bit of a greedy pick there in the Stonehill Defender.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, something like a Tar Keeper might have been able to get in the way a little bit better, but this does fill out his curve and immediately goes for just a Gold-Shard Footman, just to get in the way.
But it would bite him back again. Like, the tempo loss here is actually pretty huge. All those minions are still out of range of anything. Trucifer champion spells disaster, because now Naiman is able to clean up the board, still have his minions on board, and if he top decks a Gentle Megazord or a second Wall Eater, that is just nuts. Neirea is in a pile of trouble. If you can say it this way.
Yeah, Neirea, he's still kind of holding on to just, playing the Taunt Warrior strategy, just another Stonehill Defender next turn, plus the Hero Power, just eventually chipping down the minions on this side of Naiman here. But you're absolutely right. Anything that comes out at the top here for Naiman is pretty huge. I'm going to go ahead and keep his minions as healthy as possible. Is Naiman. Every 1 damage matters. And that makes it difficult for Neirea to deal with this without, Consecration. And, makes it very nice if you are Naiman here, because now he just doesn't get chipped down by the Stonehill Defender.
Yep. Exactly. Well, this is pretty huge. For Naiman, of course, because he takes the advantage, and if that Wall Eater will still be alive for turn 6, then he gets buffed to an insane amount of health, and that will be very problematic to Neirea just deal with in the future.
All right, this is a heads-up play here from Neirea, because he's saying, are you going to invest your True Silver just to kill a 1/1? Essentially, because that's what the equivalent would be doing here for Naiman. And if you don't, then I get to use Spikeridge Steed and start to bring back this board.
But Naiman, of course, knows that, and he needs to clear the board. Like, just keeping alive a Murloc on board is not a great choice, especially when you know that your opponent is lacking any answers to your minions. So having still the board advantage is just crucial at this point. Your opponent thrives on synergy with minions, just like by playing cards like you said, Spike Steed, and just Murloc synergy. So definitely a good choice.
Yeah, very heads up play there from Neiman. Feels bad to sink your True Silver into just a 1/1, but ends up, pulling the trigger there. So Neirea had the option to go for some Keeper Terran, but deems the Tyrion a bit more powerful, a bit more necessary here. And like you mentioned, Spiker's Teeth could come out right now.
The thing is now, what do you buff, right? Because you can buff the Wall Eater, but it gets you to the same point like one of the previous games. Actually, the Wall Eater can now be attacked by weapons. Although you know, and we know, and Naiman knows as well, there's no True Silver Champion. Would have been already used. So it seems like a decent choice just to use an old Wall Eater.
Right, and this way it doesn't get swept up in any sort of AoE here. At least not typically. So Neirea under the gun. Looks like he is just going to go ahead and utilize the fact that he's finally picked up something cheap enough to play with his Spike Receipt, or finally able to get something on the board in the first place. Not going to go for the Curator. And
Oh wow. This is
pickup.
This is nuts. Hydrologist, do you want to play Hydrologist? I think you do, because you can get redemption for that Wall Eater, which has Toned. So you will get a Wall Eater back, which will be behind a Taunt, because you will spawn the Segadon.
There's also the possibility of Getaway Kodo, but yeah, the redemption is so much more tempo onto the board. You don't have to play it out on the board again. It's just already there. It also means that your other minions are still resilient. They don't drop in health. As he decides what to go with here. +3 attack. Hard to tell.
You know what's crazy? If your opponent will kill the Wall Eater and will not have a way of dealing with the smaller minions, the action can be healed, because you will get another buff from the Wall Eater.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, it comes back, puts the minions back up again, and yeah, they recover that damage that they lost earlier. It's certainly a crazy interaction, and Neirea just kind of slinks over like, well, that just happened. So I guess I'm playing Tyrion.
And it doesn't feel great.
No,
although it soaks a lot of damage.
Yeah. Naiman certainly has to put a lot into here.
So he can push for 15 if he would like to play the Primordial Drake. Because he can attack.
Well, it doesn't matter, right?
Because, no, it doesn't matter. No,
because he kills off his own minions. He kills off his own minions by attacking into the Divine Shield anyway. So, yep. Goodbye, Megasaur. That feels kind of bad. Goodbye, Rockbull Hunter. That one doesn't feel quite as bad, but his own Tyrion hits the field, and Ryan gives a knowing nod, realizing that this one feels kind of over. Nothing to do here. And Naiman looks like it's going to take game number 3.
In a really crushing fashion. Like, this game was bonkers.
Yeah, it just came down to the early game, right? Neirea had an okay start, and Naiman just had... He just continued to get there, continued to build onto his Murloc advantages, and in particular, that Murloc War Leader just really snowballed the game. And Naiman showing his prowess again with this type of deck, with the aggressive decks, where he's able to just, keep every advantage, right, and get every single perfect trade. And even something like the most simple thing you think of when you're worried about your minions dying are things like Consecration. But Naiman even took less damage, like 1 less damage, just to keep it above 1 health, because he knew that something like Stonehill Defender or even something like a Hero Power could be threatening in the future, and he played around even that.
Yeah, very good decision making from Naiman. And now we're gonna see how he will do with his Pirate Warrior against the Paladin. He gets to pick up a decent curve this time. Maybe not the best one in the world, but it still doesn't feel like terrible.
Yeah, Neirea has Rockbull Hunter into Rockbull Hunter. Ooh, upgrade. Very nice way to fill out his curve a bit here. And
he knew. He didn't attack the last turn. He knew exactly what Blizzard rigged for him in the draw.
Well, he didn't have any weapons in hand, and he figured, well, there's a decent chance to get some sort of upgrade or, you know, the cultist there. But and the Rockbill Hunter hits the field.
Oh, well, that's kind of sad. But you still go for the captain this turn. I feel like you can just sacrifice the deckhand in this case. Nah,
Yeah, you're either.
Yeah, they're probably just the weapon.
Yeah, well, you're tossing either 4 damage into it and overkilling and leaving
Yeah.
yourself with a 3/2, or you're leaving yourself with a weapon still. It's somewhat tough.
The decision is just to, you know, you can win or lose by that one damage. And sometimes you will rewind your game and you're like, well, I missed 1 damage here. I guess that's why I lose, right? But at the same time, if that pirate will live another turn, it gets that one damage back. And
Yeah.
it helps out with minions at some point. Like, it can help out.
Yeah, it helps with the trades, and Naiman figures that he might switch to Fire Warx if needed pretty soon here, so you might as well just retain the larger minion.
Oh
There's
my
the South Sea
God.
Captain.
And that's now, and that's when you benefit from keeping that free too.
By the holy light.
God, like, this is disgusting.
Oh my goodness.
It's turn 4, and that consecration just keeps 4 damage off the board. Like, look at Neirea, he's like, yeah, what can I do with this?
If he equalities, the South Sea Captains like barely even go down, right? They go down to 2.
Yeah.
Actually, if he equalities, then the South Sea Captain, he gets healed.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, even if he just does that for the next turn with equality, like, the problem is you are getting 12, 14 damage. You might be just dead because there's a, like, you know, whatever minion with charge and you're just dead.
Well, Naiman was 2 damage off lethal this turn. Gonna continue, just push that pressure on, and Neirea,
He knows it's over.
1 mana away from Equality Consecration, which would, or actually wouldn't clear off the Corsair,
Yeah.
because it would still have 3 health, as
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
see right there.
Wow. Well, that was a fast match. Holy moly. The second
Stark contrast.
captain, you know what's funny? Like, in all those games we have seen, it feels like the warlords of tribes are getting the games, right? In the War Eater and in the Murloc game, in the Paladin games, were just the first guy who slammed that with advantage of having a favorable trade was winning the game, was spiraling out of control. In this case, the captain just kept Naiman in the match because of the fact that he got the additional attack, right? And that was just also spiraling out of control, played around consecration, and it was just nuts.
Yeah, the synergy of those tribes can spiral out of control pretty quickly there and really devastate an opponent. But that means Naiman is at 4-0, our first player to reach that 4-win, you know, area there is his peak, as it were, on top of this group. So he's going to continue to be on top as he has a perfect record, has a chance to continue that later on against Thijs. But our next match is actually between a couple of players who, you know, struggling a little bit in this group. Is going to be Frozen against Thijs coming in next here. So stick around to watch that one, guys.